Okay, so in this video we're going to be showing you how to fix an oil light. What was happening in this car is when you drove it, the oil light would come on, a red oil light, and a warning signal would come on. So I'm going to show you how to fix it in this particular case. Okay, so we've jacked up the car because we're going to be draining off the sump. Having a look while we're thinking about it. Okay, I don't know what's happening with me today. I was just having a real backwards way of doing things and I decided to release the turbo pipe. But the real way to do it is to release the sump pipe first, then the turbo pipe. I did it a bit backhanded. I don't know what sort of day I was having, but basically drain the oil. There you go, really simple stuff. Make sure you've got a nice bucket under there that can take the amount of oil coming out of it. Okay, so now once it's fully drained, what you kind of want to do is start to unscrew the bolts around the sump itself. They're 10mm bolts. I don't remember how many they are, but they're all 10mm and you just got to run around and find them. They're around the whole circumference of the sump. Now this is the one a lot of people complain about, the one next to the gearbox. Now the way I do it is I get an Allen key, I believe it's a 7mm Allen key with a knobbly bit at the end. Okay, you could use it with a 10mm socket with a wobbly bit at the end, but I used an Allen wrench with a knobbly end. Now you've got to be careful with these because they can pop, so make sure you've got it in there properly. And there you go, take your time. As you can see, it was pretty tight. I actually thought it broke for a minute, but then I realised it was alright. But it was borderline, it was quite tight, but I find these the easiest way to do it by using the Allen wrench with the little knobbly bit on the end. Okay, so I think there's 3 in there. Look, there you go, look, stuck on there. That's the 10mm bolt. As you can see, it's got that little knobbly end that gives me another angle. Same thing with this one here, all similar stuff. I just used that socket on the end just to get a bit more leverage. But yeah, there you go. That's how it goes inside of it. Okay, now there's 3 bolts around the gearbox. I've only shown you 2. There's one in the middle which you can just see looks a bit clear. Just undo them. I believe they're 16mm. Just pull them out because they hold the sump in. Next, we're undoing the oil filter. You're going to need the little accessory here, or if you're really strong, you could do it with your hands. But yeah, there you go. You can see I'm just doing there. Make sure you've got your oil bucket underneath you because that is full of oil. Okay, so now I'm just undoing the rest of the screws around the edge of the sump. I'm cheating with my impact wrench. But as you can see, got my goggles on and just undoing the last few screws. Okay, so now usually it's held on by a mastic, so you're going to need to give it a bit of help. Just put it in the turbo hole and pull it out. I thought that worked really well because you don't want to hit this with a hammer. It's aluminium. It'll break, so just getting a bit of leverage from underneath the car to pull it down seems to work really well. Now we need to remove the strainer. There we go. There are 2 10mm bolts either side of it. Sorry I didn't get a great angle, but it's really simple. It's just either side of it and then it just pulls down. There you go. It's got some oil in it as well, so make sure there's a bucket under there to collect it. Now look, inside of this sump is just like treacle. It really is a reflection of just poor maintenance. When your car's poorly maintained, this is what happens inside your sump and all around the rest of your engine and all the engine components. So look, I'm showing you, look, there it is. See that all glued up, you can't see through it. Okay, so we're going to try and wash it out. I've used some cellulose thinners. You could use white spirit, use anything, carb cleaner, brake cleaner, anything that works, anything just to scrub off this oil. Any sort of degreaser will work. You really want to clean it up in there and just do the best you can. I just used a wire brush and a bit of a screwdriver just to scrape out some of the sludge that was built up in there. But just take your time and clean it out and try and do the best job you can. I'm using brake cleaner. I've used everything I had really because this is going to be going through your engine. Look at that, you can see that even after I tried to clean it, it looked like that. So when it's all meshed up like that, when it's all matted up like that, it's the equivalent of breathing through a pillow. So it is just really bad for the engine all round. I actually had another one because I couldn't clean that particular pickup strainer. So I just gave the one I had from before a quick clean with some brake cleaner, spraying in and around it, just to prepare it for what we're going to put it onto because we want it to be as free flowing as possible. So like I said, use brake cleaner, thinners, anything you've got to make it work. So there's the old one. As you can just see, there's not going to be nothing happening, and it just kills your engine. And here's the one I had earlier. So the difference is light and day. Old one again, just to show you what it's like. And like I said, it's the equivalent of breathing through a pillow. Right, so I've done a fairly decent job here. All that other black stuff will clean out once you continue to change your oil regularly. Now I'm just cleaning up the sides of the sump, because when I come to put the gasket back on, I want it to adhere well. So do your job, you know, when you're cleaning this up, do the best job you can do, because you're going to need this to work for you. Okay, so there's the mastic around the end, or the sealant around the end. I forgot to actually video that, but there it is all around the edges, as you can see. Make sure you get a high temperature sealant. They're pretty cheap. So anyway, basically it's just the reversal of taking it off. So push it up there, make sure it sticks, get your 10mm bolts to hold it in, and crack on. Once everything's back together, just have a look around that everything's tightened up, change any gaskets you need to change. So here's the oil filter, we're putting that back on. Dip your finger in a little bit of oil and just rub it around the edge of the seal, the rubber gasket there, just to help it seal well. So I like to fill it up with oil. Don't know, it's just a habit that I always do. I've seen it done before, and I think it's a good idea to fill it up so there's no void. There you go, it's all done. Okay, so just putting it back on, like I said, the reversal of taking it off. Screw it in with your hand and tighten it using the little thing at the bottom. Or if you're strong enough, just do it by hand, but I like to use a little clamp at the bottom just to help tighten it up. Now your engine parts are sealed up, let's just release the car onto the floor, get it on a nice flat surface before we start putting oil and checking any levels. Yeah, just pretty simple, just release the jack. Now the good thing is, when you service your own car, you get all the oil out. So this took 5 litres and a little bit more, because I totally drained it out. So once we've got it down on the flat surface, like I said before, we're checking the oil level, and that is good enough for me. It could have a little bit more, but just being fussy. Now remove the fuel pump fuse and then try to start the car. Now the reason why we're doing this is to make sure that the oil flushes around the car without actually starting. So while the car's turning over, it's pushing the oil all around the turbo, so nothing runs dry for any amount of time. That's why I do this method. Then we just whip it back in, whip the fuse back in and start it. There you go. Remember, don't rev it or anything like that, because it's still trying to find its way around the engine. So that's what we're doing. As you can see, after that bit of work, there is no engine light coming on, which is a success. So, you know, if you've got engine light comes on, try this. Okay, so originally what happened with this car is the oil light was coming on. It would just come on intermittently. Now, the oil light can come on for a number of reasons. It can be a fuel pump. It can be bad fuel pressure, like worn bearings, and it can also be a blocked strainer, like what we did in this video. Now it's important to know what to listen to, because if the engine's knocking, then it's going to be bearings. It's going to more than likely be bearings. But our one, it was a bit more tappety on the top end. Once you get a little bit more experience with this sort of stuff, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a little bit tappety at the top end. So it's from my experience, it sounded like the top end was being starved. Where the valves are, you know, the cylinder head, all that top part of the engine was being starved of oil. That's why it was a bit more tappy. So this just shows how you can sort out an oil switch light or an oil warning light. You know, sometimes it is more detrimental, and other times it isn't. You just need to know what to look out for. So I've been driving this car for about 15-20 minutes, and there's no oil warning light or nothing. See? Nothing. Usually get a loud beep. If it's red, it means oil pressure or oil starvation, and if it's yellow, it means oil level. Now you have to get that sorted, because it will dry your turbo out, it will dry all that stuff out. So yeah, just a quick video how to save yourself some money. Hope that helped. Remember to subscribe.